is trauma, which is from not having your feminine energy healed. It's wounded. Welcome to the Star Slimmer podcast, the show where we empower females through mindset and manifestation. My name is Isabel Prestia and I'm your host. Every Monday, I inspire you with an episode to show you how to attract your dream life. Make sure you hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. It's time to start somewhere together. So, how many of us struggle to accept help? We struggle to reach out when we need to. We feel the need to always be in control, thinking that nobody can do it better than we can. Well, this is all most likely a sign of not being in your feminine energy. Feminine energy is a big part of what I love to teach and share. When I get interviewed on a lot of podcasts, this actually always seems to be such a common topic that I get asked. So it makes sense to dedicate a whole entire episode on how feminine energy can best support you, in particular with your relationships. So this is your connections with everyone, with yourself, with your friends, with your partner, with your family, your work, every human being you basically have a connection with in your life. So I'm also just going to say something as well. When we are not in our feminine energy, and I'm speaking this from personal experience and from what I've seen in people around me and what I've read and what I've listened to, and just like a disclaimer as well, I'm not trained in any kind of health, psychology, trauma, anything like that. This is strictly from personal experience, what I share. This is a podcast. This is my perception, my perspective. So yeah, just before people may get funny about whatever I say. It can go as far as losing your period. So if you're a female and you are no longer in sync, you're no longer getting your period monthly. I mean, I know when you're on the Mirena or other contraceptions, you don't really get it. That's a whole other topic. But when you are not on those things, and like, yet again, I'm saying this from personal experience because I've gone through times where I have lost my period for a bit. And, you know, it can be for an absolute abundance of different reasons. But I do know a huge part and huge big reasoning of that is trauma, which is from not having your feminine energy healed. It's wounded. And so it's just such a fascinating topic and so fascinating for me. And it's actually really interesting because if you tuned into my last episode, it was all about change. And I was really reflecting. The episode made me reflect as well, even more. But I was really reflecting about change in my life. And a big thing I really wanted this time last year was stability. And I don't think I was clear enough when I said I wanted stability, because I got stability in every area of my life, but financial stability. And now I'm like, my goal is financial stability. However, I found stability in every other area of my life to exist. My emotional stability, my mental stability, my energy stability, everything as a whole. My masculine and feminine energy is like so balanced and so stable. And I know that because I've put so much work towards that, right? So it's really interesting. I'm not sure where I was going with that whole point there, but I have been really delving into this whole topic since 2020, for ages. And last year is when I really honed into it even more. And I just found such a beautiful balance of having your femme and your masculine energies. And I remember so clearly when I really like fell into all this work. It was maybe like May of 2022. And it was just such a expansive, exciting period for me when I was really learning on all this. And I had just started dating someone as well, and I was really able to like put it into play, like really be my femme. And I just attracted a real masculine person, and it was just like the coolest thing to see and to be a part of. And it was just, yeah, it was so cool. And it really just enabled me to like drop into it so much. And, you know, I'm still holding all of those learnings and those traits with me now. And I can just see how it best supports so many areas of your life. And so I have a few points I'm going to share with you on how you can fall into your feminine. Number one, the feminine energy is all about receivership. So this boils down to as simple as accepting compliments, accepting favors. When you need help and somebody offers, you take that. You don't, no, I don't need this, push it away. Deep down, you are internalizing that you are not open to receiving help. Whether you need it or not, that's a whole nother story. My whole thing is like, if I need help and someone's offering to help me, you best believe I'm going to say yes, because it's helping me, right? Like, it's saving you time, it's saving you energy, whatever the thing is. And if you are somebody who thinks that you need to do it your way, nobody can do it as good as you. I mean, obviously that's going to account for some things possibly. Like, this is obviously, not like a blanket kind of scenario here, a blanket statement more so. But that is a sense of controlling, which means that you are not in your feminine energy because you are not allowing the help in, right? So like, take this with a grain of salt, obviously internalize it as it suits you the best. But when I really reflect back what has helped me, it's allowing that help. And like, do not be surprised when you start to implement all these things and you really start to embody your fem energy. Do not be surprised how often people offer to do things for you. And tapping into your feminine energy is so freaking powerful. It is the most powerful thing, I think. And we've been told for generations, right? There's like generational trauma. We've been told for so many centuries to suppress that side of us as females, because it is potent energy. It is magnetic. It is electric. It gets what it wants when used with a good intention, right? So it's like, the more we can allow this help in, and if you're somebody who suffers from a need to control all the time, or you always feel bad, or you don't want anybody to do anything for you, ask yourself, for what purpose is that serving you? And I could really go down a whole spiral of like trauma here, but I don't know enough to speak on it to be super transparent, nor do I really want it to go in that direction. But I really recommend the podcast Feminine as Fuck by Monica Yates. She is all about trauma healing. I've learned a lot from her as well. I've learned a lot about her from Feminine Energy also, along with a whole bunch of other books that I've read. She speaks a lot on trauma, and it's really interesting to consume that kind of content. So I would highly recommend her if you are interested in more the trauma side. But we're going to continue moving forward. Oh my gosh, my ears are ringing so much. Okay, number 2, be open. Holy fucking shit, has this been the biggest game changer for me? Wow, so like classy of me. Be open. Being open to whatever that means to you, to anything and to everything, I kind of want to say. Being open to, this can support the first point, so to help, to getting favors. Also being open, having your heart open, right? This was a huge part of my healing journey a few years ago, because the more we allow ourselves to be open, I mean, this complements with receivership energy, the more things can flow to us, the more you have this magnetic energy that where things will always work out for you. Okay, now I know I've spoken a little bit on your wounded feminine, so I really want to kind of just elaborate on that more so and explain the difference, my examples of course, between a wounded and a non-wounded, so I guess the wounded and the healed version of your feminine. So a healed feminine, so like known as your sacred feminine, this is when you're in your power, when you're standing in your feminine power, when there's no traces of shame and guilt and people pleasing and all these other things I'm going to chat about in a bit, but when you are just in your most empowered state. So this is expressive, this is intuitive, this is creative, it's accepting of love. So it's that openness to love I just shared. It's that free flowing, it's radiant, it's glowing, right? So it's like my podcast is such a channel for that for me. I'm expressive, I'm creative, I'm very intuitive when I speak. Whereas more so the wounded feminine, it's things like flimsy boundaries, over apologizing, not being able to accept compliments as well, like the very first thing I shared, over explaining. No is a sentence. You don't need a comma or an explanation after the word no. You can end it there. So you always feel this need to over explain yourself. Shame and guilt. I know this is like so much in females. You know, when it comes to dating, for example, like with guys, it's glorified or glamorized to be like a quote unquote player. But if a female does it, they get called names. So it's the shame and guilt. I mean, that's just one example. Shame and guilt can extend from anywhere. And codependency. You feel like you need somebody, most likely a partner. You feel like you need that person to complete you. And it's really funny. So I was chatting to a friend the other day and we're talking about podcasts and like self-development and personal growth. And he was like, do you struggle to say no? And I was so quick to say no because I know I'm not a people pleaser, and I kind of love that about myself because I've done so much of that healing work on myself, and I've never really been too much of a people pleaser. But, you know, when we are really learning these concepts and learning to step more into our feminine energy, it's so common to have flimsy boundaries and to give people, you know, third, fourth and fifth chances, and to allow people to walk all over us, and, you know, for us to change our plans to suit them. And like, you know, these are examples when it comes to dating, but also this is applied in like everyday life. And I love that I'm not a people pleaser. I think it's such a powerful quality that as females, we all should embody so much, because the level of magnetism that it gives you, and that just creates all these boundaries, like that just leads to a whole nother level of, I mean, that's like a whole nother conversation yet again in terms of magnetic energy. But I know a big part as to why I am so magnetic is because it's having these boundaries, is not being that people pleaser mentality, putting yourself first. People are only going to respect you more, right? Opposed to the person who is always like, yes, I'll drop everything and do everything for you. It's like, obviously, yes, that serves a purpose, maybe like in a work environment, whatever your situation is. But on a daily basis, I mean, even a work environment, you can still withstand that, right? Like now that I've learned all these concepts, I was thinking back to when I did have my corporate job, and I would always get asked to do things like, if it was someone's birthday, I had to go out and get the cake, or whenever we'd have events, it would be up to me to like organize the food and just all that kind of stuff, right? And of course I said yes, because I mean, one, I was new, and two, I was like the youngest there. So I thought that was kind of what I had to do. But on reflection, they were just asking me that because I wasn't saying no, but I could have said no, right? It's like, it's that real fine line, I know, in like a professional workplace. But I was just thinking that's really interesting. I feel if I was to work for somebody else again, that probably wouldn't happen to me, because that's not really like the energy I give off. Like the other day, I have a casual job I occasionally work at, and I got told to do something. And then one of the other employees wanted to do the role I was doing. And then the boss was like, oh, well, if Isabel wants to swap, then, you know, you can take what she's doing and she can do what you're doing. And I just said, no, like, you've told me I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And it's like, I could just say no so easily. Like, obviously it wasn't in a malicious way, but I could just say no so easily. It was no big deal. Like, it was so lighthearted. But the point is, that's a sign of people pleasing. Like, I got told what I wanted to do and I wanted to do it. And just because someone else wanted to do it, it's like, oh, of course you do it. I give it up. Like, do you see what that like minor example that can be applied in like everyday life? So, and I just want to say, I know I've shared quite a lot of like heavy things already. It's a journey doing this kind of work. As I mentioned, I'd been learning about this since 2020, and like I didn't truthfully start to embody it until last year, 2022. So be kind to yourself in the process. Be gentle. Forgive yourself. Know you're just always doing the best you can with what you know and with what you're able to do, right? Like, you are essentially learning a new way of being. You're tapping into a side of you that maybe you haven't really tapped into that much before. I mean, I'm still learning. I'm sharing as much as I know. And it's just so, it just blows my mind at how powerful these concepts are. And I just like want every single female to, you know, understand them and embody them the best they can, because it's essentially what is going to help you attract your dream life, whatever that dream life is for you. right? So I'm going to continue forward. We are almost there. My last point is, this is more like bonus kind of points. Really, really important things to help you embody and step into your feminine energy. Ladies, be friends with other women who encourage you to do better. Because there is nothing more fulfilling than wholesome female friendships. Wholesome friendships with other females. Females who have your back, where there's that sense of there's no competing, they want the best for you, and you're able to lift and pull each other up. And I am going to go one step further with this, and it's also showing that tough love to friends. And if they are in a position where maybe they don't see the wrong in it and they're really struggling, it's not just supporting them in terms of being like, oh, they should be doing this, but they're not. It's like having that tough love with them. And I know I've got this with pretty much all of my friends, actually. And I was having a conversation. I was going through a weird time the other week, and I was having a conversation with a girlfriend, and she was like just telling me the truth, right? Something I wasn't seeing because I was in the situation, and she was giving me her 2 cents. And she's like, I know I'm being really honest and direct right now. And I was like, no, like I truthfully value that. And like, I know I've attracted friends like that because that's something that I value. And I mean, it does so many things. Like, it firstly helps you in a situation that you can't see clearly. And secondly, I feel like it really strengthens the connection you have with them, because you're not like tiptoeing around each other. You're not saying things just for the sake of it. You're being able to show that realness, that real love. And by being friends with other women who encourage you to do better, like, fuck, that is just so powerful. And I just feel I want every single female to experience that. And it still blows my mind. Like, the friendships I have around me are like the best to exist, especially all my friends that I have in Adelaide that I see regularly. It just makes me so happy and lights my heart on fire. And it's just so important. I know so much of who I am and what I've achieved. I know it's all been me, but at the same time, I know if I didn't have that support around me, it wouldn't be anywhere near the same. So that's a bit of a mushy point there. And I'm going to end it on embracing your feminine power. The way you're going to do this is making sure you're surrounded by beautiful souls who lift you up. And this complements pretty much perfectly to what I just shared, because you're able to step into that, and there's no sense of, that gross competition, that gross like high school energy. It's complete acceptance and it's complete encouragement. And the older we get, I know it's hard to make friends when you get older, right? Funnily enough, I've actually never felt more surrounded by friends the older I get. So, if that's a belief you believe, maybe it's time to change that. But the thing is, it's so crucial because, life doesn't always get easier. What's the saying? It doesn't get easier. You just get better at it, and you encounter, bigger, heavier problems, whatever it may be, as the more you progress through life. And knowing that you've got those female friendships around you, like, that is going to honestly be the biggest hack for you in creating the life of your dreams. To be straight up there. So I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I feel like I touched the surface on quite a few things. If you want more, I know I've been actually chatting to a few of you guys, and you've been loving these episodes on feminine energy. So I feel like each point really deserves like its own episode for me to really just go ham and share even more. So if that's something you're wanting, don't be shy. You're more than welcome to DM me on Isabel Prestia is my personal Instagram account, and let me know, and I can just share more stories, more my past experiences, personal stories, how more so it's helped in different areas of my life. I just think it's such a juicy, expansive topic, and I love listening to content on these types of episodes. It's just served me in so many ways. So if I can now be that person and share that for other people, then that's my job done. So I appreciate you so much if you've gotten to the end of this episode as well. And we share new episodes every Monday. So I'll speak to you guys next week. Bye.